I've made over $5 million in dropshipping sales by the age of 22, and today I'm going to teach you exactly how to do the same by becoming the best version of yourself as an entrepreneur, someone who stays productive and focused on the things that will help you scale to millions while avoiding the common pitfalls and obstacles that are right now holding you back from living your dream life with dropshipping. And these are lessons that took me years of trial and error and going through the grind and paying thousands of dollars for mentors that had, frankly, decades more business experience than I, who have taught me their lessons so that I don't make the same mistakes. And today, I'm going to share those exact lessons with you for free. Now, when it comes to being an entrepreneur in any business model, but we'll make it specific to dropshipping, you need to realize that the number one thing that's going to prevent you from being successful is your mind. And I know that sounds woo. I know you're thinking about clicking off this video, watching another Facebook ad strategy video, because that has to be the thing. My ads aren't working. It's got to be the ad strategy. No. Fundamentally, the real reason why your business is not where it is supposed to be, or if you haven't started, is because it's a direct reflection of you. Your business is a direct reflection of your personal life. And what I always tend to notice is that there are just certain people that no matter what business model they start, no matter what they do, it never works. And that is more an indication of your lack of execution and your lack of skills than it is of the business model not being something that's viable. Because what do you see all the time? It's people who blame and say, dropshipping is dead. TikTok is dead. It's a scam. It's a sham. Everyone who's making money is just selling courses. It's honestly become more common to hear people say that than to actually say you can make it work with dropshipping. Now, there's obviously people that will peddle and say, you're guaranteed to be successful if you just follow me and join my course, which is not the case. This is a tough industry. Business in general is the toughest thing in the world to master and get down. And when you think of anything that you ever want to accomplish in your life, whether that's learning a subject in school or trying to get somewhat proficient at a sport, we always have coaches. We always have mentors, someone who has already learned and gone through the trial and errors that can teach us and help us avoid the pitfalls. But yet when it comes to business, arguably one of the most complex things to get down, we try to just watch a bunch of YouTube videos and we think that's going to be enough. Even though we've had no frame of reference, we've had no real experience, we think we'll just figure it out on our own. Now, for some, you can. But for the large majority of people watching this video, you cannot. And it starts with the first problem of you not being the right person mindset-wise to deserve to have a business that is worthy of being successful and making 10 grand a month profit. Let's start there. So with your mindset, what I normally see from beginners, and this is why they end up quitting after a few months and never end up making any money, is because of limiting beliefs. The subconscious thoughts that go on to their head are always negative. They don't truly believe they can be successful, and that's why they don't actually go all the way in. They half-ass things. They watch a few videos, they test one or two products, and they call it a day. They say, that was my best effort. I gave it a genuine shot, when by no means did you even come close to your actual tipping point and real potential. And it all stems to the real belief that when you look in the mirror and you speak to yourself, you'd say, I don't believe it's possible. You may say, I'll be successful one day, or I'm going to be rich. I know I'm going to be on those boats, partying with those gold-digging Latinas one day, driving my Bugatti with Andrew Tate. But you don't really believe that. It's a joke. And your actions are dictated by the thoughts in your head. If you truly don't believe you will be successful with this, you're not going to take the right actions. You're not going to prioritize the right things. You are going to silently quit or give it 50% of your best effort, and you will constantly sit on the sidelines and watch other people be successful and keep on wondering yourself, why is that not me? If you don't believe in yourself, you won't take the right steps. So, what does that mean for you? Well, that means you have to believe first off. Number one pitfall with your mindset is killing any limiting belief, killing the idea that it won't work for you, saying the excuses that I'm too young, I'm too broke, I'm too inexperienced, I'm too old, I'm from this country, I have this certain ailment or anchor that's weighing on down to me. That is why I will not be successful. It's giving yourself a way out. No. There are far younger, dumber, poorer people than you right now who started in a much worse place and are now successful with dropshipping and really any business model. All the limiting beliefs, all of the restrictions you're putting on yourself are just made up in your mind. And it's crazy to me too, when I go to these networking events and I see these 15-year-olds making 100, 200 grand a month profit with their dropshipping stores. People that don't even have driver's license, that can't even legally drink, are making more money than 99.999% of the population. They're not more intelligent than you. They're not harder working than you. They are just people who learned a system and stayed patient and worked on being 1% better at their skill. Now, were they obsessive? A lot of times, yes, and that is what it takes. You can't just half-ass something and expect to get amazing results. You can't treat something like a hobby and expect business results. You'll get hobby results, but if you want real life-changing results, then you're going to have to put real life-changing minutes into it and do what 99% of people are not willing to do. So if that's something you can't commit to in the first place, frankly, I wouldn't start a business. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep settling with mediocrity. Because if you're not willing to sacrifice for your dream, then your dreams become the sacrifice. I know you've heard that paraphrase a million times. And just to give you one more quote that I always live by is, whether you think you can or you cannot, you are right. That's Henry Ford. Pretty smart dude. But it is true. What you feed yourself, what you tell yourself does become reality, which is why I believe the first step before you ever start to test a product or watch a YouTube video, get into a course, get into a program, before you even get started on that first step, you need to fix your mind. You truly do. And you need to ask yourself a few key questions. And I would also start working on a vision board. A vision board that clearly articulates and visually shows you what you are working for and what the goals are. I have one right now that I stare at every single day that clearly displays what my goals are for my dropshipping stores, for my YouTube channel, for my vacation plans, travel activities to London, go to see Chelsea. I made that happen today. So already things that are on my vision board, we're halfway done with the year basically, have happened because I knew exactly what I wanted to do and I had intention behind my actions. So first off, you need to understand what are your goals, and they're different for everybody, but you have to be laser detailed on what they are. It can't just be as simple as, I want to make money, because how much money is that? What is success? What would be enough money for you to consider it life-changing? And life-changing could be, I can finally quit my job, I can drop out of school, I can focus fully on this, or it could be, it helps me pay off my bills, my mortgage. It could be something that is meaningful and has substance behind it. It could be $5,000 a month. It could be $10,000 a month. But you need to be specific. Otherwise, if your goals are murky and not clear, then your actions are going to be not clear and they're going to be murky. You won't really know what you're doing. And whenever I look at anyone who's ever been successful, no one ever says, I don't really know how I got here. It just kind of happened one day. When I talk to pro athletes, and I do have a few that work at my gym, they don't say, one day I just was shooting a basketball and then I made it to the NBA. Or when I talk to someone who's jacked, just one day I picked up some weights and then I just got jacked all of a sudden. No, of course, that is not what happens. They intentionally knew where they wanted to go, and then they dictated their lives, their actions, their decision-making, their entire lifestyle around accomplishing that goal. Everything they did was intentional. So once you figure out that, yes, limiting beliefs gone, I know I can do this. I know truly deep down that if other people that are less intelligent, that are far less qualified to be successful, are successful, then therefore I can do it. Then the next step is being intentional as to what are my goals and what steps do I need to take to make those goals a reality. Being intentional. being specific. Okay, so let's say I want to make 10K profit a month. Okay, cool. That's great. How much is that a day? 333. Damn. He's handsome and good with numbers. Full package, if you ask me. But yes, $333 a day. All right, now I know I need to hit that much profit a day. Now, how much revenue would I probably have to hit? Most likely $1,000 a day. Average profit margin is around 25%. We do the math. It's about 1322. If I got that right, I'm a genius. I can't lie. Stephen Hawking levels. But yeah, let's say it's 1322. Now you know exactly what you're aiming for and what your goal is. And now you have to break down, how do I get there? Well, that means I'm most likely going to have to test a certain number of products every single week. And if I focus on improving my tests by 1% every single day, then I will eventually get to the point where my standards have risen to the quality level necessary to have a product become a winner. Because the reality is, when you first do your first 5 to 10 product tests, you're really just paying your dues. You're really just throwing stuff and hoping and praying. Like, you should not expect anything to realistically happen for your first 5 to 10 product tests. You may make some sales here and there. You should. But don't expect anything to really change. You're still going through the teething phase. So your job is to try to get out of that learning teething phase as fast as humanly possible. Now, if it takes you a year to test 10 products, then it's going to take you most likely 2 to 3 years to really see any success. But if it takes you a month to 2 months to test 10 products, you're probably going to start to see some results in the actual winning product within your first 3 to 6 months. Speed is really a big part of this game, and getting the reps. Because once you get the reps, you start to develop the skills, which is the most important part to making money. Because everyone, and while I did say you should have a goal, whether that's making 10K profit a month, once you have set that and once you know how much that is per day, you need to then shift your focus from, okay, my idea of progress is money. It needs to change from that to my idea of progress is skills. From test 1 to test 20, how much improvement did I make on my product pages, my ad creatives, my product selection after learning what products have made sales for me and what haven't? Because if you can focus on the boring things, of things that aren't directly tied to money, then you will eventually get so good at those skills that making money will just be a byproduct of your actions. If you consistently take the right actions every single day, then the money will come to you rather than you chasing it. And what are those actions? It's as simple as putting in the reps at a high quality level with the right information and strategies. Now, when you get the right information and strategies, which most likely all of you have, and if you keep watching, I'm sure you will learn an exact blueprint that is proven. What will happen is, although you have all the information you'll ever need, it still won't work for you, and that's just because of a lack of execution, which makes sense. If I was wanting to be a professional soccer player, and it's my first day playing soccer, and freaking Messi across the street was teaching me, and he taught me the exact perfect way, all the information I ever needed to know, I'm still not going to be kicking like a pro that first day because my execution isn't there. I haven't put in the reps. It's not a knowledge problem. It's an execution problem. So you first have to identify, what problem do you have right now? If you're completely starting from scratch, it's both. You have a knowledge problem and you have an execution problem. But once you've gone through a few programs and you know, okay, the person I'm learning from has a proven blueprint. They have a proven track record of their own, and they have a proven track record with their students, and they have a template and a framework that clearly has gotten results, then you know the knowledge isn't the problem anymore. It's just execution, putting in the reps every single day. And there's going to be good days, and there's going to be bad days. There's going to be days where you're not feeling your best and you don't feel motivated. And those are the days that matter more than the days when you're feeling great. Because if you can push through those days and solve problems and keep going at it, then you will build the skill that is the most important outside of obviously everything that's directly tied to dropshipping. And it's the most important skill in business, which is discipline. So once you go past the limiting beliefs, and once you realize that skills are the only thing that I need to develop to actually make money, then the final thing is, how do I develop discipline? Because dropshipping will lose its luster for you. And you need to change From the money is what's motivating me, checking my sales every day is what's motivating me, to what motivates me is just taking action. In fact, you want to obviously avoid the word of motivation in general. You want to change it to, it's a new day. What do I need to do today to see progress, to get 1% better? What in my tests did I notice overall I need to improve upon? If I notice my last 5 tests, my ad creatives weren't performing the way they needed to based on my KPIs, then that's what I should put more focus into: studying more ads, trying new hooks, trying new concepts, finding more visuals. If my website isn't performing the way it needs to, let me start split testing with new offer structures. Let me try improving my images, my social proof, my urgency for this next test. Because clearly, if what I'm doing right now, I know works, but isn't working for me, it's just I need to keep trying, putting more reps, and tweaking till I get the right response, the right feedback loop, which is obviously making money. And I do believe the way that you develop discipline and the way that you develop your skills to the point where the quality is high enough to whenever you test a product, if it is a winner, you will make it a winner because your marketing and offer skills are that great. It just comes from putting in the reps and realizing that imperfect action is better than perfectionism and no action. And there's a great study I know in Atomic Habits where there was a Harvard study that basically was analyzing 2 different groups. So there was a control group, and then there was the independent variable, whatever you want to call it. And in the control group, they basically said to this group of students, you have a whole semester to make 1 pot. We want you to make the most perfect pot in the world. And by the end of the semester, we are going to compare if your pots are better than the control group, who are going to make new pots every single day. So you had 2 groups, one that only had to make 1 pot after 3 months, and then another group that was making a new pot every single day. So let's say after 3 months, that's 90 pots. And when they got to the end of the semester, they realized the students that were trying to aim for perfection, that spent every single day on just the 1 pot, consistently underperformed and made a pot at the end of the semester that was nowhere near the quality level of the group that was consistently putting in action and getting 1% better at their pots every single day and putting in the reps. There's no substitute for putting in the reps. Both the groups had the same information, same knowledge. It's just one group practiced the execution over and over and over again. And I think that's very applicable to obviously gaining muscle as well. There could be 2 groups. The super Chad, buff, dumb as bricks, meathead, who has never read a study in his life, who has never watched a video on proper form, who just goes to the gym every single day because, it feels good. Muscles make the voices go away. Just gotta show your ex what they're missing. Play those AI-generated voices of her apologizing to you, which you never got. And you think about that every single day, and you just want to make her regret ever breaking up with you and breaking your heart because you were the best thing that ever happened to her. Okay, I'm not going to go on a rant. But basically, who's going to have more muscle at the end of the year? Someone who goes to the gym every single day and might not know the proper form, might not know all the different intricacies about how their muscles work and all this theory and studies behind it, but goes to the gym every single day, compared to someone else who goes to the gym once a week, but every single day they're reading studies, they're watching videos, they know the perfect form, they know exactly how to do a bench press or do whatever it is. Who's going to have more muscle at the end of the year? It's the person who doesn't have as much information, but does the thing every single day. You're not going into the gym and you're bench pressing 225 immediately. But if you do consistently go to the gym and you're benching 2 times a week, you're using your creatine, you're using your progressive overload, a little bit of, try anything as possible, then you're going to be better than 99% of the planet at bench press if you consistently, progressively overload. And it's the exact same thing with dropshipping. The first time you test a product, you're not going to be a winner. You're not going to see sales most likely. It's the same thing with that bench press. You're not going to be bench pressing 225 that first time, but you'll probably start at the bar. You'll get the bar down. And then the next time you get in there, you might get 5-pound plates. And then eventually after a year, you may get to 225 if you're absolutely jacked and have amazing genetics. But you'll be able to lift far greater than when you first started. So don't expect the world when you first get into dropshipping. Don't expect immediate success. It's not going to happen. You probably aren't going to get your first sale until maybe test number 5. But if you keep putting action, you keep studying, you keep iterating, you keep inputting and then react to the output by analyzing, and then give yourself a feedback loop of, okay, that means I need to improve this skill or put more emphasis on this part of my tests, then eventually through those 1% incremental increases, you will get to the point where you have developed your skills enough and you've raised your standard to make money. If that makes sense. And I think a great analogy is also with athletes like LeBron James. They put in so many reps and they have so many years of experience that their quality level, their benchmark is so high that when they have an off day, that means they usually score 20, 25 points, which for someone who has not put in as many reps, 25 points is a career game for them. That is the highlight. That is the thing they are going to talk to their grandchildren about. But for LeBron, that's an off day just because of the amount of reps that he's put in. So over time, through volume testing, through realizing that the only way I can get better is through testing products and learning from those tests on what I can improve, then you realize I shouldn't be spending a month testing one freaking product. I should be testing 1 to 2 products every single week, learning from those tests, and then next week I'll have more information, new things that I can improve and iterate on. And if you keep going through those cycles, test 1.0 to test 9.0, oh boy, it's going to be a world of difference. Your ability to choose what products will work for you, oh my God, it's going to be night and day. Your ability to build websites, to create offers, to do your market research is going to be so many levels ahead of anyone else that tries to compete with you. But it's a game of reps, sacrifices, and realizing what you need to actually prioritize. Now, the final bit I want to give to you as an entrepreneur to become the best version of yourself, I know I promised productivity. So how do you actually go about doing all these different things? So now you know what to focus on mindset-wise. Now you need to know what you need to prioritize in terms of volume of testing and being efficient while trying to maintain a solid quality. But hey, maybe those first couple tests won't be perfect. They're not going to be perfect. They'll probably be 50% of where they need to be at, but they'll be good enough for now, just so you can get some baselines. And then eventually, again, your standard will increase to the right level and standard where with the right product, you will thrive. But even when you get to my level, you realize at this standard, still 20% of products are going to be successful, which is perfectly fine. Because I could test and fail on 4 products and I'll lose maybe $400. And then, hey, I get a winning product. I'm making easily $400 a day profit in the beginning of scaling it. So you realize just the numbers game. It's a lot like how hedge funds work, where obviously they put large bets. Not maybe hedge funds is the best example, but maybe angel investors. Angel investors will invest in a bunch of different companies. They realize 90% of those investments are going to fail, but they just need that one hit, that one home run, that one unicorn that's going to pay off every other investment that failed and still give them 10x more money than they originally put in. It's the same concept with dropshipping. So here's everything you need to know about productivity. Now, I know lots of stars and autistic drawings, but this is everything that I do. This is a $10 million productivity journal that was given to me by my first mentor, Dan Henry, who's done well over $50 million in online sales. And it perfectly summarizes everything you need to do that billionaires do in order to organize their schedules, stay on task, and focus on the highest priority tasks in their business that actually move the needle. Because what you realize over time is that the most important asset you have is your time and how you allocate it to the right things. Because there's a difference between being busy and being productive. Busy people will say, hey, look at me, I'm doing all these different things. But then at the end of the day, when you analyze their work over a week or a month, you realize they haven't really moved the needle. They haven't really progressed that much. And it's not because they weren't doing things. It was because they focused on the wrong things. Because I could spend 4 hours on working and studying winning ad creatives, and that will most likely make me about $1,000 every single day to my business, compared to if I spend that same 4 hours on customer support, I'm not making any progress in my business, because that's just maintaining the business. So I can have a skill that adds an extra $1,000 a day with those 4 hours of time, or I can spend those 4 hours of time on something that doesn't add any value really to my business and can easily be outsourced through leverage. So you need to realize what are the most highest impact tasks that I need to be consistently taking every single day to move the needle in the most efficient manner possible. And those tasks are product research, building your websites and offers, creating ads, and media buying. Those are the only 4 tasks you should ever be focused on. Customer support, order fulfillment, hire a VA for $5 an hour from Pakistan, and they'll do a much better job than you. Running social media, handling influencers, UGC creators, finding those people, hire a VA for $5 an hour, give them an SOP, give them a training video, have them do that. The mundane tasks that maintain the business, the repetitive tasks should always be outsourced, and you should be focused on the highest leverage activities, which is scaling the business, making your boat go faster, not maintaining it. So for me, this journal perfectly helps summarize it. Now, I know my handwriting is borderline doctor levels where there's no chance in hell you'll be able to read it. But basically how this journal works is I put my most highest priority task up here. It is the king. Then I have my 2 secondary most important tasks here. Then here are all the other tasks that if I also completed them, then today would be a resounding success. And what you tend to notice is that you are never going to complete everything on your to-do list, which means if today I only accomplished 3 things, what are those most important things? Boom, boom, boom. It is the top things. However, what I tend to notice among dropshippers and entrepreneurs in general is they don't start from the top to bottom. They start from the bottom to the top because they say, okay, let me do the easy things. Let me get the easy things out of the way. And then they do the easy things and they get too tired to do the actual important needle movers. And then the next day happens and they put, okay, here's tomorrow. I know yesterday wasn't as good. All right, let me put those things that I didn't do yesterday. Oh, and there's also these other little things. So let's start with the little things again. It's just a repetitive cycle of mediocrity. And they wonder why after a month or after 6 months or after a year, why they haven't made any money or progress. And it's as simple as this, just not prioritizing your time. So I would recommend getting a journal like this. This is the Finisher's Journal. I'll link it down below. Use my affiliate code so I can buy my Porsche 911, by the way. And you should use it exactly like this and think to yourself, if I could only accomplish 1 task today, what would be the biggest, most valuable thing that would be? Write it down there. All right, if there was 1 or 2 other things that are really important, and when you notice from most top entrepreneurs, they usually only give themselves 2 to 3 things to do. And that's a huge difference between beginner entrepreneurs and experienced ones. Beginners put 20 things on their plate to focus on. The real experts usually focus their day on 1 to 3 things. And that's the only things they have to do today. And they put utmost focus on nailing those high priority tasks. So don't think being a great entrepreneur is putting 100 things on your list. In fact, a lot of these things on my list are pretty much mandatory things I didn't even have to write down, like going to the gym. Going to the right after this, by the way. Got to get my leg day in. I mean, this bakery doesn't make itself, I wasn't just born with this cake. Someone had to bake it. Boy put in this work. Why get a BBL when you can get one at the gym for free? So you write down your tasks, and ideally you want to focus on just really a few things, a few core things. And once you get those done, then you can focus on the less important things. Now, the next step of this is you should time block. And oh my goodness, will this change your life? You should have a time for every single hour of the day as to what you are doing. From 10 to 12, I know I'm doing this task right here. I know you can't read it. From 1 to 3, I knew I was doing this task. From 6, 7, every single hour of the day is accounted for. And it really helps you because we're pretty much ingrained from elementary school to follow a specific time slot. And basically, we are programmed to time block because every single 45 minutes, you knew what class you were going to be in and what you needed to focus on. And okay, this 45 minutes is history. This 45 minutes is math. So you've already been ingrained in, whether you like it or not, psychologically programmed to follow a schedule like this. So a lot of times I find that is the most efficient way of managing your time. And if you talk to anyone that is successful, most of the time, this is how they organize their schedule. They know every single hour what they are doing to a T, and they live and die by their schedule. They're religious. They worship that schedule, and they know exactly what they're doing, and they are incredibly disciplined to the point where they follow it to a T. What you'll notice is beginner entrepreneurs, The only difference between them, a lot of times they can set the times, but they don't follow it to a T. They get distracted, or they don't know how to properly allocate as much time that is necessary. They say, okay, there's this task that takes 3 hours. I'll just time block an hour for it. And then it throws off their entire schedule, throws off everything. So it is an art that takes time to master of, okay, how much time do I really realistically need to allocate to get this task done? And then let's really properly mark it. And then after that time slot is done, even if I haven't finished the task, all right, that's fine. Let's move on to the next thing. So although I have my main tasks, I will allocate a time to it. So for that top task, I may give myself 2 to 3 hours. And if after those 2 to 3 hours, I'm not 100% done, I'm 80% done, I'm still wanting to move on to the next thing so I can at least chop it down, get it closer to being done. And maybe that second or third thing I'll get done for that day, which is great. Then the next day, all right, on that first most important task, I have 20% left. Let's have that top of the mind. We'll finish it, get it done for tomorrow. That's it. That is all you need to know productivity-wise. Keep it simple. You don't need these complicated routines. It's just the night before tomorrow, write down what you need to get done, what are the highest priority tasks, list them in order. So usually what I'm going to do is I'm going to brain dump here are the 3 most important things. Maybe I'll throw in 5, and then I'll list them in order of priority. And then I'll time block what I should do first. Always putting the most highest priority thing first. And then later on down the line, like today for me, doing this video was the last thing I had to do. I had my group call and then it was this. And hopefully, if you consistently do this, it's not going to be perfect in the beginning. You're not going to get it down. You'll probably forget some days to write when you need to get down. But you realize over time, if you consistently practice the discipline of writing things down, of time blocking, of prioritizing the highest priority tasks, you will get significantly further in your entrepreneurial journey than any other time in your life. And I'd say once you start journaling and doing all these things that are right for you, and it will take time. A lot of times you can't just go from cold turkey to all these different things at once because it's going to be too overwhelming. But once you slowly start implementing these things, usually the last obstacle in terms of discipline and taking consistent action is the environment around you. And usually what it means is addition by subtraction. So what you should do is while you are working, note why aren't you accomplishing the most important tasks? Are you getting distracted too easily? Are there things that you are currently doing and prioritizing that are not beneficial to your goals? Are you not being intentional with certain actions? And you need to be brutally honest with yourself and say, okay, if I truly want this goal, if I truly want this lifestyle, if I truly want to change, then nothing's going to change if I don't change. It's a great Theo Von quote, actually. And it's a quote that I actually am considering tattooing on my body. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If you don't change your habits, if you don't change the way you operate right now, then the results will stay the same. So how bad do you truly want your goals? Because if you do truly want them, then your actions will reflect exactly that. You will sacrifice. You will sacrifice those days of going out, of watching movies and TV, of playing video games, of scrolling on social media, of texting random women that are no good for you on dating apps, of whatever vice you currently have that is clearly sucking up your time and attention. And it might be watching YouTube videos like this one right here. If you truly want your goals, a lot of the times the number one thing you have to do is detoxify your mind and dopamine. Detoxify yourself. Because the threshold of taking action and being committed to something is so high that the only things that you ever decide to commit to usually are these very pleasurable, very high dopamine activities like playing video games. I can guarantee most of us probably spent thousands of hours playing video games, ranking up, getting our ultimate teams to a certain level, spending hundreds and thousands of dollars in gambling as a kid with your mom's credit card to get Lionel Messi's team of the year. A few of you will understand that reference. But you know you're capable of hyper-focusing on a specific task. The problem is that task is something that rewards you with a high level of dopamine. So you have to train yourself to live without that much dopamine. How do you do so? You have to learn to be comfortable without your phone, or without your PS5, or without your TV. You genuinely, and this is some of the most progress I think you'll ever see in your life is when you genuinely just sit with yourself without any distractions around and ask yourself, am I comfortable with who I am? Can I just focus on taking the right actions? Do I truly want what I say I want and what I know I've been thinking of all these years? And hopefully you win that battle with yourself. Because if you don't win that battle, you shouldn't get started in the first place. And if you notice yourself slipping, then you have your answer. You don't want it as much. And you have to be brutally honest before you get started, because you will lose money. You will lose a lot of time from other tasks that you enjoy to be fully balls deep into this, which is what it requires to have the chance of being successful. So for me personally, my vices were my PS5. I had to give that to my best friend. Sayonara. And I was a video game addict. I didn't think it was possible for me not to play video games. But what I realized is the first week was hard. The first month I had those urges. I would see some things. But then after a month, it just became normal. And when you think of people that lived before all this technology, they didn't know what they were missing. They just lived their life. So for me, I realized, oh my God, it is possible. I just had to remove it from my eyesight. I had to remove the distraction. Same thing with other vices. I was a dating app, chronic scroller, addicted to all that. I had to delete them. And what it forced me to do is be more social, actually go out, talk to people, which was a nice bonus, but it just helped me in the moment where I'm obviously working at my desk and my phone's a huge distraction, but there was nothing to check. I had to get to the point where my phone was so bare bones that there really was nothing to check. It had no dopamine for me inside. I deleted my social medias. The only social medias I have, the reason why is because of business. I don't care what my friends are really up to. I'll just reach out to them. I can text them. I don't care what they're posting about in their stories or any of that stuff. You're not missing anything. You're not missing a damn thing. Now, this doesn't mean you have to go full monk mode and isolate yourself and be a hermit crab and work 14 hours a day in your office like I did when I was 18 through 22, which is why I'm so socially awkward and I have no friends whatsoever. But you should just, when it's time to work, turn off your phone. You can play some music. Don't watch a video. Don't distract yourself. Don't trick your brain and give yourself more dopamine to do the action. Train yourself to love the boring shit. Detoxify the dopamine in your head so that the level, that threshold for doing something gets so low that you get enough spike from just testing a product, which I know right now is not enough. Maybe in the beginning it's enough because you have that thrill of it being new. But slowly, the more products you test, that dopamine level that you'll get is obviously going to go to the point where it's almost nothing because you've done it so often. So you have to lower your barrier, your threshold. And once you fix that, you will be dramatically more likely to see success. So I hope that helped you out, and I'll see you in the next video.